High desert garden challenges. What do you need to know? What do you need to do to have a productive garden in the desert? Well, I'm going to cover some tips, and we're going to talk about the challenges first. For one, you've got these juniper trees. What loves to inhabit juniper trees is rats. Rats are a real problem. For rat control, I've got this device called a cat. You can see here they're playing with each other. These cats back in here. I call them Rat Force 1 and Rat Force 2. Well, rats are a big challenge. So what I have done is I have fenced in my garden. The fencing is just now complete, but the fencing is a multi-purpose fence. At the bottom, I've got a combination of hardware cloth and metal sheeting to keep rats out. Now this stuff is buried in the ground, and in the ground it makes a turn like this, so it's got a L shape to keep the rats from burying under it, because they hit that barrier burying down, they're not likely to go under the ground. Another big challenge here in the desert, of course, it is dry. Everybody knows that, so that's not rocket science. But hey, there's something else. The air is dry. It's not just lack of rain. The air and the sun working in concert will suck the moisture out of the soil almost as fast as you put in, especially high day in the middle of the summer. Things are starting to cool off a little bit here, but here's another challenge a lot of you may not be aware of. I have brought something with me here from outside. Now see, the soil is a little bit moist here for a change, because we actually got a rare rain here, but in my area we've not been getting much rain. You can see it fizz up a little bit there. That is actually, I'm using a low grade of vinegar. Usually it fizzes a lot more than that. Maybe it's because it's moist, but it usually fizzes up like an Alka-Seltzer when I put something like vinegar in it. But it's fizzing up some. This is a very alkaline soil, and I've actually treated it with vinegar. You can use any kind of acidic liquid, citrus or something like that, to try to bring down the alkalinity and make your soil a little more neutral, a little more base. I'm opening my gate. Another reason for the gate is, in a lot of places, like here in northern Arizona, you have free range. And until I can afford to put a fence around my entire property, I'm gonna close this to keep the cats out. Because even though I want the rats out, actually cats, I found, can cause damage to a garden. So the soil is not very, let's say there's almost no nutrients in the soil, very little, just enough to grow a few desert plants, not enough to grow a garden like you might want. So that is a challenge. The challenge of lack of soil is putting in organic matter. Now a lot of people automatically run to manure. I cannot use this pile of manure. If you get manure, the first thing you should do is test it. I tested this manure with radish, was many different seeds and multiple plants, trying to make something, including radish. Now, if you may know, I have grown a lot of microgreens over the days. I've grown radishes in gardens, and I've grown them in microgreens trays for a couple decades now with absolutely no problem. Nothing, absolutely nothing except grass is going to sprout in this manure. And unfortunately, this is becoming a bigger and bigger problem, because the hay that was fed to the horses, and sometimes it can come just from horses grazing in the pastures. Out here, you don't have those kind of pastures, but if a horse grazes in a pasture, the spray will graze on, or if hay comes from the graze on, the horse manure will be toxic to garden plants. It takes 3 years for this to break down. I bought this. I was hoping it would be good. If it had been good, I'd have bought 3 more loads of this. I had my own worm castings, but my trailer that I brought worm castings in broke, so I didn't have that much of my own to use out here. I used a local guy's stuff, and fortunately it had organic matter, but unfortunately his was lighter weight than mine, and what it led to was a case of blowing away. There's ways to combat stuff blowing away. A lot of people use raised beds and put the beds around them. The traditional way that the Indians grew in the gardens was multifold. One, they actually used sunken beds, And I will show you that I'm working to make these beds not as raised. What I did is I plowed this ground. That's nothing. The ground out here can be hard as a rock. I plowed it. I disced it. I even used that rototiller over there on it. And with all that, I might have got 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of dirt broke up. So to have enough dirt to plant in, I had to move stuff over. I treated it with vinegar, because it was just something I can get quick, to try to bring down the alkalinity. And now I actually, when I built these beds up, I put about 2 inches of this other guy's worm castings on here. But this is a high wind area, so that's another challenge. The wind has blown most of it away. Now you can see here where I'm actually building up the walkway. See, I scraped all this stuff up, which made the walkways lower, which made these effectively raised beds. We got a butterfly out here, pollinator, that's good. So actually these beds were planted solid. Another problem that my rat barriers and my cattle barriers are not going to cover is bird barriers. Little birdies, because this was so dry, I had all this planted heavy. They came in here and pecked everything out, almost everything, because they were looking for water in the seedlings. They would only eat them when the seedlings were sprouting. And I'm hearing dogs. In any event, so these are all challenges to overcome. I've been working on the Three Sisters method. You can see I've got beans, I've got squash and pumpkins in here. You can see some baby ones starting out down there. You may have a lack of pollinators around due to things going on these days. So I've hand pollinated a lot of these, but there are some native little bees that are out here. The honeybees are gone this year. So if you want to pollinate, the important thing to know is how to identify a male squash flower from a female. I may do a special one when I actually see some female flowers. Female flowers are the ones that actually bear the fruits. Female flowers are rare compared to male flowers, unfortunately. The male flowers have a little stem in the middle like that one, and they are edible. I wonder if that's coyotes instead of dogs. I'm hearing so many of them yipping. That's not the normal yip. Sound like dogs. But anyway, so weeds. I let the weeds grow out here. I consider the weeds a luxury because I don't get any weeds. Unlike Alabama, I would have weeds over my head tall out here by now. So what I've done is I've tried to plant the Three Sisters because squash, squash and pumpkins, which is in the squash family, and sweet potatoes will provide ground cover to help hold some of the moisture in. And you can see here this ground is a little bit more moist. Corn needs a lot of, it's a heavy feeder, but beans produce the nitrogen that can help the corn grow. And corn provides a stalk that the beans can crawl up. Unfortunately, birds have really messed up my scenario here, so I'm going to have to come up with some way to control birds going forward for this garden venture. But just to show you around here, I'm looking for female flowers. But you can see that I did attempt the Three Sisters. The Three Sisters growing method should actually be able to produce a prodigious amount of food here. Three Sisters, beans, winter squash, and corn can be stored over most of the winter without any problem. Now here I got the Three Sisters going on, and that's Hopi blue corn. Unfortunately, because I went in and added a few more worm castings in here after most of the other stuff, and a lot of things are late to. Like I planted this stuff weeks ago, and you can see some corn just sprouting. A lot of the seeds take a long time to germinate here. They don't want to germinate when it's so darn hot. And this garden got a late start because I didn't have my tractor ready early on. So start as early as you can when you're doing desert gardening. I'm not sure this garden's going to make anything other than the pumpkin flowers I've been eating. I eat, a male pumpkin flower about every morning. This is a squash plant here, and another way to tell if they're male or female is a female plant we'll have a little bulb back here where the fruit's going to produce. This is a male flower. It's got the stem, and it's got no fruit behind it. I'll have to do another video when I come out here and find ones with fruit. These are all male flowers. I did a little post on Facebook. I asked if my squash plants were all gay. I've only had one that's made female flowers so far, and that's this plant right here. Or actually, there's a couple plants in here. That one and this one have both made female flowers, but the rest of them haven't. Not yet. I think that these plants make female flowers when they feel like they got the luxury and enough nutrients that they're actually going to be able to produce fruit. Otherwise, the reproduction strategy is to go harder over on the male flowers. So this garden bed, even right here, would make enough to more than feed me if I had it planted out right. So I'm in a kind of a lesson learning mode here. This is my first desert garden. As you know, I have grown a lot of stuff in Alabama. The garden here is extremely different, but I will make it work. I'll be planting all this out over here, and I'll be adding beds here and here once I get my water laid in for automatic watering. We were doing construction over here, building all this, so we didn't put beds over here. So I'll have more beds. I may find a way to drape something over to keep the birdies out so they don't peck everything out of my garden. I tell you guys, little bitty Tweety birds have done more damage than a herd of cattle would. Another thing, this place is full of rocks. We've been getting rocks out of here like crazy. I got big rock piles outside the garden area where I've taken so many rocks out of here, but that's just what you get out here. Anyway, it's a beautiful place. So desert gardening can work. I've had to put a lot of water on these garden beds, a lot. Enough that, you know, just for cost wise, it's probably not going to pay off this year. I was hunting wood chips to add on top, because wood chips would help maintain the moisture, and I wouldn't have to water as much if I had wood chips down. The reason I don't have wood chips down, I had somebody that was supposed to bring them out. He didn't. I got to go get them. But right now I'm having issues getting tags for my trailer and my truck out here because I'm missing paperwork, and Arizona's real hard on that. So I expect next year to have a cover of wood chips out here, and that'll help the mycelium grow. I don't see a lot of mycelium here. I do keep the entire beds watered at least once a day just to encourage mycelium networks to form, because good soil is living soil, and that's why I encourage the weeds. Good soil is living soil. So once again, I'll show you. I'm going to pick a male flower because that's all I see out here. I'll go back here in a minute and look, see if I'm missing anything. Male, male. So just to show you guys, these flowers are edible, as you can see. And tastes kind of like a pumpkin with squash. That's my big house back there. My solar arrays, my house. And that's my battery building with all my electronics for my solar. This is still a construction zone, so if it looks rough, that's why. I'm still building out here. Got a lot to build. Anyway, so there you are. I am eating from the garden already, because the male flowers, especially when you don't have any female flowers out here in the morning, none of these are going to pollinate anything. They're keeping my pollinators alive. Right there's another little squash growing. There's one. I got about 3 growing so far up. We got one over here. That flower hasn't probably opened yet. That's how you tell a female flower. You got a little squash on the back of them. Anyway, in any event, so I'm going to get some beans, maybe some squash, maybe a little corn. The corn's going to tassel already because it's been nutrient starved. It's short. I got to come back here and add. I've added some more worm castings to it. Hopefully I'll make something out of it, but nothing really for eating. So this is my first experiment in gardening in the desert. I've learned a lot of lessons, some the hard way. Next year I expect to do far better. So, and I should be able to grow enough food. Once I set this up properly, I should be able to grow enough food in here within these confines to feed me and maybe 3 other people. I kid you not. Just in these confines here, with proper application of the 3 sisters methods, if I can get the birdies out. So I'm gonna have to add some netting overhead or something, but that will be the strategy. And I plan to open up another garden back over there, and maybe down in here, and some others in other areas. So I'm gonna be gardening more. One of these trenches, I'm running water line. There's actually a pipe underneath there. I do have water at that hose right there. I've got a water tank back over there, and I will run water out through here for worms. Right here is going to be chickens and rabbits. Next stop will be worms, and then where all that junk is going to be a greenhouse one day. And I got some ponds for water collection. If it ever rains out here enough to really run enough to collect. You can see a little bit of the pipe in the ground right there, I think. I have to zoom this in. Right there. That's where I'm running the pipe. Anyway, there you have it. Yeah, this is Greg Allison with Green Gregs. If you enjoyed this content, subscribe, bang the bell, and click all. I may start a whole new channel just for desert homesteading, because Green Gregs channel, gardening videos is how I started, but they don't do well on my channel anymore because everybody wants to see prepper news. Not how to prep, but news on what's going on in the world that preppers to be concerned with. That's what people join this channel for. So if that's what you join for and you don't like this video, just stay tuned. I got a lot of good stuff coming for you. Anyway, subscribe, bang the bell, and click all. Thank you for watching. Greg out.